What's up, everybody? This is Joe Vega, and welcome to the first ever Flower Shop Secret podcast. Today, I'll be talking to you about how to be as creative as possible during crunch time. As we all know, being a creative isn't something that you can just simply turn on and off, right? It's not like a light switch, it doesn't work like a light switch. When you're creative, you need to be in the state of flow, you need to be in the zone for you to be highly creative. How do you do that when there's a deadline of tomorrow or right around the corner? When that pressure's on you, right? Um, that's exactly what I'll be speaking with my guests today, Sarah and Jordan from Netflix hit show The Big Flower Fight. Let's go. So the big question is this: how can small business owners like us in the floral industry overcome the greed of order gatherers and bypass the deceitful games played by wire services? How do we market, sell, and deliver flowers online so we may break free from these antiquated practices and earn our freedom? Those are some of the questions we will answer on this podcast. I'm Joe Vega. Welcome to Flower Shop Secrets. Welcome aboard, guys, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
So I gotta be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of reality TV, but this show had me hooked. It was
reality TV can be stressful.
Yeah,
Not as leans on the not stressful side of reality television.
yeah, because TV they definitely want to show the train wreck and all this emotional roller coaster. It's just like, oh, sometimes it's just I can't watch, But this show was fantastic. My wife loved it. My kids liked it, and so everyone liked it a lot. So again, thank you for joining me. So Sarah, I met you last year. I don't know if you remember us or not, but we were in the AIFD symposium in Vegas, and you love those giant flowers. You kept going like this to the flowers, and you're like, where did you get these? And little did you know that a year later, or maybe less than a year later, you were going to be working on much bigger, huge floral sculptures, right? So it was nice to meet you, but I didn't get a chance to hear your story. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got started in the industry?
Sure. So I actually got started in the flower world as a wedding planner. Okay. I had started the wedding planning business solely because I love parties, I love celebrations, and honestly, I needed extra income. So that is what brought me into the wedding planning world. And then, oh my gosh, it's a longer kind of fantastic story, but I don't know if we have time for it today as to what threw me into flowers. But long story short is there was a wedding that the florist had quit, and as a wedding planner, you don't let things go wrong. You make sure that everything is taken care of. So I got thrown in and had to figure out how to do these flowers at the very last minute. Once I got my hands on this, I knew I loved the design part of weddings, but I didn't realize that I could be more hands-on in the floral part. And I built my planning firm and my floral firm together for the first couple of years of my florist career. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that I wanted to focus solely on flowers because that's what excites me. In life, we look for that thing, right? That thing that just empowers us and inspires us. And flowers is my thing. So as soon as I sold my wedding planning firm and focused exclusively on flowers, my business blossomed like I never could have dreamed.
The floral side is definitely what energized you, for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. And Jordan, I heard you have a pretty interesting story that involves backpacking.
My life has been one heck of a crazy ride, kind of like Sarah's. And I graduated college and decided to go backpacking, and my visa was about to expire, but I hadn't stepped foot on U.S. soil in almost 3 years, and my parents had moved while I was away, so I didn't know anybody. I had never had a real job. I worked to put myself through college and things like that, but never had an official big girl job. And I posted a very kind of joking job ad out of frustration because she was having trouble finding the person that she needed. And this job ad was very funny, but I could also tell there was an underlying annoyance there of being where is this person who can drop everything drop everything and go travel at a moment's notice and doesn't mind working with a smelly dog and doesn't mind working in a place that's not an office. And I was like, oh, I check all of those boxes. So I ended up messaging or emailing Sarah and responding in like a very professional, laid out, basic, structured, answering every single query or problem that she had solved. And I was, responded, here's why I have the experience to work with a smelly dog. Here's why you need me. Here's why I'm better working out of a space that isn't a formal office. And she went back and said, hey, I think this could be a good fit. And it was, and here we are.
How did you guys get involved with the show to begin with? How did that work?
So it started on Instagram, and then the casting director had reached out to me in the morning. By the time I actually got on the phone with the casting director, he had talked to multiple people, and apparently they had all said, you need to call Sarah Campbell. Sarah Campbell is who you're looking for. So, I talked to him, and it pretty instantly felt like, okay, this is a good fit. We've been approached for television things before, but like you, reality television isn't always the focus that we want. And this just seemed very positive and exciting and different. And they said the word that excites me, and that was flowers. I had to find a partner. I had to find a teammate to be part of this. And of course, I started looking for another florist to join me. And there was no part of me that thought, oh, I'll take Jordan with me.
We didn't talk about it. It was implied on the show, but we didn't talk about it too much. The fact that I went into this with zero hands-on floral experience whatsoever. I am a behind-the-scenes girl. I do marketing, I do management, I do event production, I do all the behind-the-scenes stuff, but never ever the floral design. But there's a couple things that played into me throwing my hat in the ring. And the first was Sarah kept running into the problem that all of these other florists were busy. This was short notice, and we had just so happened to have taken 2 months off in the middle of our year that we thought, okay, well, we'll stay home during this 2 month period. We won't travel or anything like that. And many other florists already had that time built up. And I was hearing Sarah speak about that. And then I was also hearing her voice concerns about, okay, well, if I'm gone and I'm unavailable, who's going to be running the business? Obviously, I can't do it by myself if I'm off filming, and you can't do it by yourself if you're not with me. And so I said, well, maybe I could be the solution to both of those problems. I'm already with you. I'm not busy because I work with you, and we work great together. So we kind of hesitantly brought that to the production team and said, hey, listen, we're not sure if this would be a good fit. Jordan really has no idea what she's doing, and Sarah is this great floral superstar with all this experience, and they loved it. They were like, oh, that could be really funny and a big disaster. And
so they bought in, huh?
They didn't say that out loud because I would have run for the hill had they said
But you see what I was saying? They kind of were looking for, oh, this could be a potential train wreck. You got it. Like, that's like, but I can imagine that, the kind of pressure, Jordan, you were in, because, how many florists would have loved to be, working alongside Sarah to be like, put their artistry at work. And here you are, you just got in the scene and you got this amazing opportunity. Did you feel any pressure when it came to that or no?
Sarah, get out of here. I always feel pressure. I put pressure on myself. It's not pressure from Sarah, but
right.
Pressure on myself.
Right.
But showing up and realizing that I wasn't the only one who really had never done. Well, first of all, once we thought we were walking into familiar territory, but then once we got there, we realized none of us, aside from maybe Hank and Yan, none of us were in familiar territory. So that was a little bit of a weight off my shoulder to be like, oh, I'm not the only one who has no idea what's happening here.
So the one thing that I definitely noticed is that you guys were a cohesive group, right? There was like a lot of synergy. And I think, it's called the big flower fight. I think they expected a little bit more sort of issues amongst you guys, but it looks like you guys
What do you mean?
It looks like you guys were getting along so well.
We became a family almost instantaneously, and that definitely was like an extra perk for me that I wasn't expecting. I'm not saying that I was going into this to be like, oh, we're gonna big competition, we're gonna be so mean and we're gonna be so fierce. But we definitely showed up in the energy. The first time all of us are in the room together was just like hanging out with your friends. And when it starts out like that on day one, by week 5, you're inseparable. So it was really lovely.
So the floral community, we are a connected community just by what we do. We are a family. So when you brought all these people that had different backgrounds but had a connection with flowers and plants, like we spoke the same language. So we might have been coming from different walks of life, but we all spoke the same language. It was just, this is what we do as flower and plant people.
Absolutely. You guys seem like you were just having a good time together, you know, so it was great to see. Did you guys get to spend time with each other when not competing?
We spent a lot of time offset together. Like whenever we could, we were together. It was a really wonderful group that, like, they just let you be who you were and didn't really ask questions. So if you decided you needed alone time and you were going back to your room, no one came knocking saying, Sarah, are you okay? They just let you have space. And we all gathered in the same place every day. So you knew where everyone was. It was really wonderful. It was like having this family that you could be around when you wanted to be around.
Yeah, we would all come together, and it was a great time. And like Sarah said, it was so refreshing to just be able to be yourself openly in a space and like be able to leave and come and go as you want. And it's just a great time.
It was an interesting environment for me, being, you know, an entrepreneur and a mother and a wife. I always have responsibilities. It's always something I have to take care of. I have no downtime. So this was strange because I had downtime and very little responsibility for the first time in my entire life. You know, I was a teenage mom. Like, I had responsibility for as long as I can remember. So it was really unique.
Sarah, I just gotta tell you this, that I don't know what you look like without a smile on your face. Like, you always have a smile on your face. Even in the show when you're like, all right, it's time to get competitive. Like there was still a smile on your face. So that was awesome.
There were times in filming where they had to stop and say, Sarah, this is a serious moment.
That's what I was just gonna say, is I think the time that happened the most is when we were doing like judging and stuff, and we had to stand there, and like for most people it was really tense and really a really anxious moment. And I'm not saying it wasn't intense and anxious for Sarah as well, but every emotion she has manifests in a different kind of smile. So we're all standing there like, ooh, 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 and then you look at Sarah and she's like, Sarah, this is not the time for smiling. And she go.
So how does it feel to sort of like, you know, create these beautiful pieces of art and I mean, gorgeous pieces and have millions of people see it and enjoy it?
I hadn't even thought about that.
I was just going to say, I don't know if I ever thought about that until you said it just now.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Because I mean, the show's pretty popular. So it's you have, I mean, because you guys are used to like, you know, doing events and weddings and, you know, hundreds of people, if not thousands of people attend these events or weddings. But these are like millions of people being there and saying, wow, what a piece of art.
I think that we filmed it in a way that felt so small and so intimate. You know, we spent, when we were filming, all of the time we had was spent with the cast and with the crew. Even when we weren't filming, it was all just us in this little bubble. And quite literally, that dome was a tiny bubble. And then the space between like filming and then waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting to actually have the show released just kind of cemented the fact that, oh, this was such a small experience. Like, this is our experience and our thing. So that now that it is actually a TV show, I don't really remember it as being a TV show. I remember it as like something fun I did with my friends in the middle of the field in the middle of nowhere.
One thing that Gordon and I very much have in common is, you know, we do focus on being humble, but I think it just comes naturally. We've done some pretty amazing things and we don't even realize it until someone else brings it up.
Which one was the most fun sculpture for you guys to create?
Okay, so the most fun that I actually had was the very first episode. The first episode was a beetle. The reason I had the most fun is it was all brand new. But the sculpture that I am the most proud of the work that we did was one that the judges didn't necessarily care for. The reason I'm so proud of this is because we walked in, they said grasses. Jordan and I looked at each other. She knew that I didn't know anything about grasses. I didn't even know there were that many grasses. And then there's this metal structure that looks like an animal. I was not expecting that at all. We had no clue what to do. We sat there for an hour with our sketchbook and just stared at this metal structure. So the fact that not only did we complete it, it may have not been what the judges wanted, but it looks so darn cute. I'm really proud of that. We finished it.
Yeah.
What was your favorite?
Actually, for me, the most fun is different than what my overall favorite one was. My overall favorite ended up being the storm cloud. But I think actually for me, the most fun was the dress, because that design just, to me personally, I found it to be so beautiful and playful and inspiring. So I think looking back, I think the dress was just the most fun. And I spent most of my time making that skirt, and like, you can't be sad when you have Plumosa. Like, it's so fun and bouncy and exciting. So I think that one was the most fun for me.
Okay. What was your inspiration behind the octopus? And he looked like he was cleaning.
The story was, we were all asked to talk about recycling. And I think how wonderful to have this cartoon caricature of an octopus that is kind of smirking a little and is doing his part to not just get caught up in the trash and the debris that's in the world, but instead he's doing his part to reach down and pick it up. So we kind of gave this Muscle Beach look where he was holding one up here and one down here. And then you saw the rest of the recycled material down at the base. And we even include a little bit of grass, a little black grass that was his inking because he was angry. He was upset about all the trash.
All these humans dumping trash and I have to go clean it up, right?
Yeah.
What would be your top takeaways from this whole experience?
Mine, I've spoken about this previously in other podcasts, but I think for me, one of the things that I really took away was self-confidence and being okay with the fact that sometimes you don't know everything and you just got to keep going. And just because you're not an expert in something, or you're not, even if you're not necessarily good at something, doesn't mean that you don't have a voice. And just learning to balance like self-confidence with being completely lost, I think is a lesson that I'll take beyond, because that is applicable to so many things beyond building floral installations, And so yeah, I think maybe self-confidence and learning to speak up even when you're not entirely sure you know what you're doing.
I think for me, it's just keep pushing and finish. So many times as entrepreneurs and as designers, we do this where we start working on a project, we're like, oh, this is terrible. This is crap. I need to scrap this. But if you just scrap things, you're never going to get to completion. So I say just, if you can take anything it is, watch us make a crazy old octopus and a crazy old gnome and a crazy old lemur, and how we just pushed and pushed and kept doing it. Yeah. And that throne properly smoked.
Oh yeah, I love that improvisation that you made when it wasn't working. You're like, no, this ain't happening today. And you went back and,
I love it because I think it speaks so well to Sarah's character that that's not the first time something like that has happened. Maybe it's happened with a smoke pellet on TV, but it's not the first time something like that has happened on wedding day or something like that, when we're teaching a workshop and maybe something's not going to plan. Sarah never gives up. She doesn't ever go, oh, well, that's not working, so I guess that's the end of the road. She always finds a way to make it work.
Yeah, that was great. I also, one of the Eye of the Storm, I believe it was, where you guys had maybe you guys made the bird fly, basically, kind of like, with that.
I was so proud of starring birds.
Was that, oh yeah, that was awesome.
I think that made me so happy because Sarah that was the only thing she had me do that pretty much that whole challenge. She was like, if you can figure out how to make flying birds, I will do literally everything else. And I was like, I can do that. I got it. I can do that. I like puzzles and I like figuring things out. So that one for me, I was like, okay, I bet I can make a flying bird.
Is there anything that you learned from the show that you could have used, in a wedding, for example?
We have, especially me, I have such an appreciation for plants and plants in conjunction with cut flowers. Like I will use potted plants in my floral installations, in my centerpieces, in all kinds of things. Like to me, it just seems like the perfect combination. I can't believe I didn't do more of it before.
It wasn't until the show that I really realized how vast the world of plants is. Like there's more than just green plants. Who knew? I know now. So yeah, I think Sarah's on the right track there with bringing colorful plants in conjunction with greenery, in conjunction with flowers to create a whole new trend. And something I want to see happening, I want to see bride sculptures and groom sculptures, because if you can make a dog cake, you can make a dog sculpture. And if you can make a baseball cake, you can make a baseball sculpture. So that's what I'm motioning for, full whole sculptures at people's weddings and events, birthday parties, whatever. We want the company logo into a huge sculpture.
The welding was also a big part that I've used custom welders before, but I've always done these very linear structures. I had no idea that welders were so talented. We can have this talent to create these welded structures, because when you have a solid base, you can create anything, even a 12-foot linear.
Yeah, I think you guys are up to something. I believe, a wedding cake is a wedding cake. How much better can you make a wedding? But like having one of these sculptures I think you guys are onto something there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then to take it a step further and make it a true living sculpture, some of these sculptures, they're meant to last. So you could have that in your home, in your yard, at your putt-putt course.
Mm-hmm. Sarah and I really did think, like, maybe we could actually build a living putt-putt golf course in her backyard. Like, that was so cool. So if anybody wants that, we'll make it for you.
I always say the flowers are involved in literally every aspect in people's lives, from the womb to the tomb and everything in between. Flowers are involved with your graduation, first date, weddings, apologies, getting a new house. Flowers are amazing. And I think that Flora is just an amazing group of people. So I'm definitely enjoying being in the industry. I think those are all the questions I had. Was there anything that you guys want to include that you think people like to know?
We actually don't know anything about season 2, but we do know that Netflix doesn't ever do a season 1 without a plan to do a season 2.
Okay.
But they have to know that everyone's watching and everyone's excited. And the show has done so well so far, but the work is not done. We need everyone to be out there and posting on their Facebook, posting on their Twitter, their Instagram. Have you seen this show? This is a great show. Watch this show. Very casual, very easy, because that's what's going to continue to build the momentum so that there will be opportunities for season 2. And we will most certainly be sharing when that happens.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you want to keep up with what's happening with the show or keep up with us, Instagram is definitely the way to do it. If anything continues going with the show, you will hear it from us on Instagram for sure.
For sure.
That is awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining me. This has been more like a conversation. This was so much fun.
Yeah, just hang out.
Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We want to help your business bloom. Check out more episodes of Flower Shop Secrets streaming now. Flower Shop Secrets is brought to you by Lovingly. Lovingly connects shoppers to local florists all over the US and Canada to help make thoughtful gifting easy and impactful. Visit lovingly.com/join to learn more.